super bright. Hello everyone and welcome to this talk on Portfolio for JIRA 2 in action. Today we're going to talk about how to make planning fun. Well, at least a little bit more fun than it might be today. And we'll cover in this talk mainly all the latest things that we have in Portfolio 2, all the way up to the latest release that we just shipped in Portfolio 2.1, available since last Friday on server. So my goal for these 10 minutes is to give you a good overview on all the latest and newest things. If you're interested to learn more, please visit us at the Product Hub or find me outside afterwards. So as we're thinking about making planning more fun again, what actually makes planning not fun? Well, we in Atlassian have quarterly roadmap reviews. Yeah, we actually even do such things as well. And I think the worst thing coming into such a roadmap review is if I'm preparing for it and I find something like this. Data spread out in like spreadsheets, presentations, 4 different JIRA projects, 3 Confluence pages, and yes, even the back of my napkin where I captured the last ideas for the roadmap over the lunch break. Definitely not fun, data spread out in multiple places. Much more fun as you go into the roadmap planning process, data in one place. And so, with the new life plans in Portfolio 2, we make it really easy to collect data from multiple sources into one plan. And that's really where the planning process starts out in Portfolio. You connect your Portfolio plan to either boards, projects, or custom filters. Boards are the recommended option here. You simply plug it in, connect to one or multiple boards. I'll do 2 boards here. And that brings together the data from these boards into one central place. So you have one source of truth, one repository to go off from into planning. And that new integration approach also makes it very easy to extend the scope of planning and add additional sources. So if you want to go later and say, I want to get an overview across an additional team here, not just look at the apps, but also the platform team, I add that as a source, a few confirmation steps, and my scope is extended. So now that's the first step covered, data in one place. And that's, by the way, always up to date from JIRA now with the new integration model. However, a list is just one thing. How do I actually come up with that shiny little roadmap? And what's definitely not fun is doing that manually. We know a lot of tools that allow you to set like manual start and end dates on all the different things. That's a lot of work, and it actually gets easily outdated. Much more fun, automatic scheduling. And so Portfolio does this planning work for you. As you have data collected in your roadmap, all you do is you check out the timeline up at the top. If you have estimates already in, Portfolio calculates a schedule for you. And also, if you want to make changes such as change priorities, something like that marketing initiative here requiring much higher priority, you just shift it up the priority order, hit recalculate, and you see what it means for your schedule. You see where it slots in, what's the new target start and end dates. So rather than manually coming up with these dates, Portfolio really helps you with that scheduling process. Now, we got the data in one place, we're coming up with a schedule. How does it tie back to JIRA and how does it link to JIRA? What's definitely not fun is doing any sort of manual syncing and updating. How would it be if things were just always up to date? That's exactly the case with the new Portfolio life plans. So here we got the Portfolio plan that is connected to an agile board. And so it's picking up the sprints. As you can see, we got 3 sprints here in our schedule. What's interesting about that is if I switch to that board and the team does any sort of planning activities, such as they're prepping what's going into the next sprint, shifting things into that sprint, or maybe they're discussing estimates and you see that one estimate definitely is way too low, so they're increasing that estimate. With this changing, it's happening straight in JIRA. All I really have to do now with my Portfolio plan is coming back to that plan, recalculate the schedule, and I'll be up to date again. So now, given the scope change, I actually see my schedule turned red, as it always does, unfortunately, and I might have to take things out of scope with that new schedule, which I can do very easily in Portfolio. So I can just see what's actually now not fitting my timeline, and I can directly inline make those changes. Let's say we're taking some features out of the beta release, shift them into the 1.0 release. We can recalculate again, see how that updates our schedule. And what's interesting here is I can directly push these changes back to JIRA as well. So if I'm happy with those changes, I review them, I commit them, and with that my JIRA issues are up to date again. So we're really always up to date, always in sync with that new integration model. Now, we pulled together epics from a lot of projects. That might mean a lot of data, a long list of things, and what's definitely not fun is actually a chaotic, endless list of things. Much more fun, a well-organized hierarchy. And so Portfolio gives you that additional level of hierarchy. You can actually define how many hierarchy levels you want. Here in this example, we see initiatives, epic, stories. I'll not go too much into the details of that, but you can really customize that. What's really new in 2.1 is, and a lot of you have been asking us about this, to expose that hierarchy also straight in JIRA. You might be used from JIRA software to see epics in story and the epic link on the story, so you could just seamlessly navigate all your way from the epics down to the stories and back up. You now have that also for portfolios, for portfolio issues. If you have initiatives, you see the epics in that initiative, and you also can navigate directly back to the parent. So very easy. It's much more entrenched into your daily workings. You see how things are linked together straight in JIRA. Now, we know portfolio planning often means a lot of double work. Much of the stuff that is done in JIRA is not picked up by a lot of disconnected portfolio management tools, and so you end up doing double work, double organization, categorization, getting your roadmap in shape. Much more fun using all the existing data that's already there. And that goodness is in JIRA in all its flexibilities, in labels, components, custom fields, all that power JIRA gives you to organize, filter, search for your issues. So I'm happy to announce that Portfolio 2.1 now has support for these additional fields. That, by the way, was our top voted suggestion after we had fixed all that integration, all these integration challenges. Quickly, how it looks for labels as an example, you simply get them as an additional column here. You can edit them inline. And what's really useful and cool is that you can also break down the visual schedule by these different labels. So you can get swim lanes here in your schedule and see what are we doing for these different categories, types of works that you have in your roadmap. So definitely bringing back all the data that is already in JIRA, using that for categorizing, for organizing your roadmap. Lastly, I know that many of you are working with large teams and try to get an overview across multiple teams in larger organizations. And many of you previously at last summit have asked me, how do I deal with a mix of point estimates and time estimates? Like, what do I do? How do I still get an overview across these? And that's definitely not a fun topic, and I didn't have a great answer last summit. Not fun because you have different units of planning, and how do you get it all together? How do you synchronize all that? Well, maybe it can be fun if the tool actually supports that mix of story points and time estimates, and that's now the case with Portfolio 2.1. So what you can now do is create your plan in one standardized unit and dynamically convert data from the different units. So create a high-level time-based plan which is readable for your executives, but also dynamically convert story points to this high-level time unit, all on the fly, and get it all together in one portfolio plan. So that's certainly helpful if you're dealing with that mix of story points. Now that we've done all that good work, bringing our plan together, having a schedule, there's one missing piece. And I know that's definitely not fun for many of you at the moment, and that's manually creating roadmap reports. That endless recurring thing on Fridays or at the end of the month where people want to know what's actually on your roadmap, how does it look like, what's the latest. Much more fun sharing roadmap reports that are already there. So you've put all this work in Portfolio, you just want to share that work in a way that's consumable. Now, Portfolio already has a couple of really good reports, such as the themes report, which gives you an overview on your high-level strategic imperatives or focus areas, target investment versus how you're actually tracking against those. Or also the releases report, which gives you an overview of the most important upcoming milestones, what's shipping when, what's the progress on these milestones, what's in each of these deliverables, or of course, the visual schedule, which We know a lot of people like to see as an overview of when are we actually shipping our things. What's new and what I'm really excited about is that little share button up in the top right corner, top left corner. And that share button gives you a link or a direct link or an embed link to that particular report that you're currently seeing. So if you use the HTML roadmap macro, for example, in Confluence, you could go as far as embed that into a Confluence page and have that accessible for different people in your organization. It's reduced to just the things that matter. It has exactly that view that you've been preparing, so it captures all the settings, how it's currently looked like, and it's guaranteed that other person sees exactly the same thing that you're seeing. If you want to learn more, definitely come find us at our product hub. I'll be outside after that as well if you want to ask me some questions directly. And one last thing before I wrap up here, we've been working hard on a white paper for how to do how to implement the scaled agile framework with JIRA software and portfolio. Now, when I prepared these slides, I didn't know that they would be running out already by the time I'm giving this talk, but that white paper will be available online as well. I think we partnered with C-Prime. They have some at their booth as well. Otherwise, it's going to be online next week for you and up for grabs if you want to learn how to follow that framework. That's it from me. Thanks you very much for joining that, and I hope I'll see you later outside or at our product hub. Thank you, guys.